Hello and welcome to OLA 2020. Thank you so much for joining us in this session on Catching Data, Not Diseases, Citizen Science at Your Library. My name is Rebecca Lynham. I was the conference planning chair for this year's conference, and I am so happy to moderate this session. I'm joined by our session's presenters, Sarah Quisenberry and Rachel Feit. Sarah has been with Pioneer Library System for a year and a half. She is currently loving her role as a library associate and hopes to be a librarian one day soon. Rachel has worked at the Southwest Oklahoma City Public Library for 4 years. She is currently enrolled at the University of Oklahoma for Information Studies. She also has an associate's degree in Diversified Studies from the Oklahoma City Community College. Rachel enjoys STEAM-centered programming and hopes to learn more about library management. I will be back at the end of our session with some questions for Rachel and Sarah, but now I want to turn it over to them for their presentation.
Hi, I'm Sarah.
Hi, I'm Rachel.
And last summer, we established a partnership with the NASA Globe Observer Program, which is a citizen science program. And I'm going to let Rachel tell you a little bit about that.
So the goal of this project was to recruit citizen scientists of all ages who are interested in contributing to our understanding of mosquito biology and the illnesses that they spread. Volunteers would get an ovitrap, which you can see pictured here, and they would check them about once a week to see if there were eggs or mosquito larvae. And they would document those findings in the Globe Observer app. And even if there was no mosquitoes or eggs, no data is good data. And overall, in our group, we had 42 members and 77 mosquito habitats recorded in our group.
So to start off, we met with two of the NASA program contacts, Cassie and Rusty, and they set us up with a bunch of ovitraps, which will be what you would fill with water for the mosquito to lay their eggs in, and you would tape a popsicle stick to that. And then also these two cell phone clip-on microscopes. This is the 60 times power one, and we use that with smaller children. It's a little less finicky. And then this one for the adults, which is an 80 to 120 times cell phone clip-on microscope. And that was to take pictures of the larva and submit that as data in the app. So they walked us through that and walked us through the app, and they would love to meet with anyone who would be interested as well. So our first program was essentially just walking adults through the Globe Observer app and the use of the microscope. And the app gives you a great walkthrough of how to classify your mosquito larva and what to do with that. So, and handed them 3 traps to check once a week. And yeah, so after our first program, we had a really quick turnaround for this one. So we got the instruction about a week before we did this program, so we'd love to see like how much more interest we could get with more time. But it was really helpful to have some FAQs ready, and we also have a copy of that. If you're interested in instituting this, you're most welcome to our FAQs that we handed out. And Rachel also made this wonderful mosquito mask, which was a huge success as well.
So for our children's program, it was just for ages 8 to 11. We had a series of discovery camps throughout the summer, and we just tacked this one in at the end after it was finished. And we sent out a big email blast to all of the participants of the original series. And as you can see here, this is Dr. Kaya Franca, and he's a scientist in our area who is working in the group as well. And he just came to share about his work with the kids. And he was really great with them. He walked them through a story about mosquitoes and Zika, and it was really entertaining for me as well as the kids. We had the kids design their own ovitrap. There's the little cup that he has is his ovitrap that he designed. And we also gave them the microscopes that we mentioned earlier to look at mosquito larvae. And they went through the Globe Observer app to send their observations in, just so we could show them the process. We originally had an account creation walkthrough planned for the program itself, but we realized that this wasn't a great idea because you need email verification, so we had to hunt down parents in the program, and that was pretty annoying for everybody involved. And in the future, we would love to make a series of this. It was a lot of fun for us as well as the people we were involved with. And we could do things like include it in our summer learning challenge for extra points, or make it its own thing with its own prizes.
So with the kids program, they took to the microscopes into the app just like fish to water. It was wonderful to see. And they also loved being able to make their own overtraps, and that also helped them be less dependent on our supplies because they could just do this at home. And even one participant said she was going to put this on for her own Girl Scout troop. So they can make their own traps and sign up on the app. And this is a program that would be so easy to digitize because you could just, do the make your own overtrap tutorial, walk through the app, and then you could still have patrons participating and collecting data for these really helpful studies. So yeah.
So we painted this mural on one of our computer training centers, and we had a flyer posted in the middle of it. And this was a great life cycle of the mosquito. It looked really good. And our marketing and communications department also created a Facebook and Instagram post for promoting the programs that we had.
One of our selectors also created a Calling All Scientists curated list on Overdrive, which is our ebooks and e-audiobook platform. And this was a really successful display at its highest point. 93 of the 101 books on the list were checked out, and 35 of those books after the display was over still had holds on them, so they were still continuing to be checked out. So this was a great program to not only get people involved in the data collection process and those specific studies, but also a way to just raise scientific literacy through other venues as well. And we also, after the programs, we publicized a Schedule a Librarian format for one-on-one training, so people could still get signed up even after the programs were over if they couldn't make those. So that's it. So if you're interested in instituting any part of this at all at your library, feel free to contact one of us. I'm the Eds Quisenberry, and this is our fight. And then also our NASA contacts would love to talk with you, and their contact information is right there as well.
And we also have, as we said, the frequently asked questions list, and we also still have the walkthrough of the children's program that we did. So if you're interested in that, we'd be happy to share them with you. I think that's it.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much. I loved that. I had been able to see the mural kind of in person while it was up. It gave me a little bit of a creepy crawly feeling, but you're right, it was really impressive. So I did want to follow up a little bit because I know, obviously you had programming for adults and for children. How did you differentiate those? How were those different? Was the adults more focused on the technology and the kids were more focused on kind of building your own trap? How did you differentiate those programs, and which one generated more interest?
I think the children's one definitely generated more interest since we did have that email blast go out. If we didn't have that, I think children's would still be more popular because it's a build your own kind of thing.
Right.
Our adult program did focus more on the app, and they also have a website, so we kind of walked them through that as well. And the children were mostly focused on, like, look at this mosquito and make this trap.
Yeah, I would say the children's probably generated more interest partly because it was piggybacking off of kind of a program that we had going. But yeah, and I think the adults was more straightforward, just like, we're going through the app and we're going to set you up with these traps. But then the kids one also had the scientists there, which was great. To really so there's that added dimension of like, if you want this to be your career field kind of thing, like the connection. And also, yeah, the build your own trap, and then the fact that Dr. Kaio really walked through the life cycle of the mosquito with like a little comic and a little story about it. So yeah, I think that had more elements to it. And yeah, I think that one was probably, and that's something that you could
work up to.
Yeah, or take bits from for your own library. So.
Well, I love it. Well, thank you, Rachel and Sarah, so much for presenting this session for OLA 2020. And thanks to all of you viewers for joining us for this session. If you enjoyed this session and if you're left with any burning questions, please reach out to Rachel and Sarah or to their NASA contacts, which you can see there on the screen as well. Thanks again for joining us today. Please remember to complete a session evaluation in your OLA conference app, and we hope you will join us for many more conference sessions. Thanks and have a great day.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us for this Idea Lab presentation. Idea Labs are sponsored by Envisionware. Envisionware is a leading provider of self-service and library efficiency solutions. Today, over 10,000 libraries use Envisionware products to enrich the service offerings of their libraries and to empower their customers to do more for themselves. Envisionware offers 22 systems, including the reservation service, LPT1 print control, One Stop for self-service circulation, RFID and AMH, the 24-hour library, and the new tablet station powered by Hublet. For more information about Envisionware, visit www.envisionware.com. Thanks to Envisionware for their support of the 2020 OLA conference.